You've done this before. You sit there, staring at something that could change your life. A message, an opportunity, a decision, and instead of moving toward it, you hesitate. Not because you don't want it, but because something inside you quietly pulls you away from it. And the strange part is, you don't even fully understand why. So you tell yourself, you'll do it later. You distract yourself. You overthink it until the moment passes. And when it's gone, you feel it, that quiet frustration. Because deep down, you know you didn't lose the opportunity. You let it go. If you pay attention, this isn't a one-time thing. It shows up in subtle, almost invisible ways. You delay starting something important, even when you have the time. You question your abilities right when you're about to step forward. You suddenly feel tired, overwhelmed, or uncertain, exactly when it matters most. And it feels real, convincing even. You might call it being careful, or waiting for the right time, or even not feeling ready yet. But if you're honest with yourself, there's a pattern. Because the same hesitation appears again, and again, and again. Different situations, same outcome. You stay in the familiar, even when it frustrates you. You hold back, even when something inside you wants more. You almost move forward, but never fully. And over time, something dangerous begins to form. Not failure, but a quiet identity. The identity of someone who almost becomes something, but never quite does. What you're experiencing isn't laziness. It's not a lack of discipline either. It's something deeper and more intelligent. Your mind is protecting you, but not from failure, from exposure. Because somewhere in your past, your brain learned something very specific, that trying and being seen trying comes with emotional risk. Maybe it was criticism. Maybe it was rejection. Maybe it was the subtle feeling that you weren't quite enough, even when you gave your best. And your brain, being efficient, made a quiet decision. Let's avoid situations where that feeling could happen again. This is what psychology calls fear conditioning. Your mind links effort with emotional pain. So instead of stopping you aggressively, it guides you subtly, through doubt, through hesitation, through overthinking, and even more quietly, through something called self-handicapping, where you unconsciously create obstacles, delay, distraction, excuses, so that if things don't work out, it won't feel like you weren't enough. It will feel like you just didn't try fully. And that, strangely, feels safer. This is where the real struggle begins. Because there are two versions of you living at the same time. One part of you wants to grow. It wants to try, to risk, to step into something bigger. But the other part, the quieter, older part, wants to keep you safe. And safety, to your mind, doesn't mean happiness. It means familiarity. So even if your current situation frustrates you, even if it feels limiting, even if it makes you question yourself, your brain still prefers it because it's predictable. So every time you get close to change, this internal resistance rises not as fear you can clearly see, but as thoughts that sound like logic. Maybe now isn't the right time. What if you're not ready? What if this goes wrong? And you listen, not because you're weak, but because the voice sounds like you. And that's what makes self-sabotage so powerful. It doesn't feel like something happening to you. It feels like a decision you're making. The shift begins the moment you realize something uncomfortable, but freeing. You are not afraid of failure. You are afraid of what success might reveal about you. Because success removes excuses. It removes the protective distance between who you are and what you're capable of. And suddenly, it's just you, fully seen. No delays. No maybe later. No safety nets. And that level of exposure can feel terrifying, even if you've never said it out loud. But once you see this, something changes. You stop taking your hesitation at face value. You begin to question it. Not aggressively, but curiously. Instead of asking, why can't I do this? You start asking, what is my mind trying to protect me from right now? And in that moment, you create space. Space between you and the pattern. And that space is where change begins. Now, this isn't about forcing yourself, because force triggers resistance. What you need is retraining, not pressure. The first shift is something called micro-exposure. Instead of waiting until you feel ready, which may never come, you take a very small step toward the thing you're avoiding. Not to succeed, but to show your brain that the situation is not dangerous. Because the brain updates its beliefs through experience, not logic. Each small action weakens the old fear connection and builds a new one. The second shift is separating identity from outcome. Right now, your mind treats every attempt as a reflection of who you are. But when you consciously remind yourself, this action does not define me, it informs me, you reduce the emotional weight attached to trying. And when the emotional weight drops, resistance drops with it. The third shift is something deeper, awareness without judgment. When you notice yourself procrastinating, hesitating, or pulling back, don't attack yourself. Because self-criticism reinforces the very pattern you're trying to break. Instead, observe it like a therapist would, calmly, neutrally. Because what you observe without judgment, you gain control over. So the next time you find yourself hesitating, pausing, overthinking, quietly stepping away from something that matters, don't rush to fix it. Just notice it. Because in that moment, you are no longer unconscious. You are no longer blind to the pattern. And that changes everything. Because self-sabotage only thrives in the dark. But the moment you see it clearly, it begins to lose its power. And slowly, gently, you begin to choose differently.